If you study domestic history closely, you start to notice that older generations treated warmth as something you built, not something you demanded from a wall switch. Grandparents did not chase a constant indoor temperature. They layered their bodies, their beds, and their rooms with intention. This was not nostalgia or stubbornness. It was a practical system shaped by fuel scarcity, housing design, physiology, and hard-earned experience. For anyone interested in historical living, resilience, or survival under constrained conditions, this approach offers lessons that still matter. Homes were designed to conserve heat locally, not uniformly. Older houses were rarely meant to be heated evenly from corner to corner. Fireplaces, coal stoves, and later paraffin heaters produced intense heat in small zones. Bedrooms were often unheated or lightly heated, while kitchens and sitting rooms carried the warmth. Sleeping in layers made sense because it allowed the sleeper to carry warmth with them instead of trying to push heat through thick walls, leaky windows, and long hallways. In practice, this meant heavy curtains, draft excluders at doors, and bedding that trapped body heat effectively. Today, you can apply this by treating bedrooms as microclimates. Instead of raising the thermostat for the whole house, insulate the sleeping area with layered blankets, thermal curtains, and sealed drafts, achieving comfort with a fraction of the energy. Layering respected how the human body regulates heat during sleep. Grandparents understood something modern, central heating often ignores. The body's temperature naturally drops during sleep. Overheating the room interferes with rest, dries the airways, and increases night waking. Layered bedding allowed precise control. A wool blanket could be folded back or pulled up without leaving the bed. A flannel sheet provided warmth without sweat. A hot water bottle warmed the feet while the rest of the body remained stable. This approach is still superior for sleep quality. If you wake up too warm or too cold, adding or removing a layer works instantly, while a thermostat change lags behind the body's needs. Fuel scarcity made waste unacceptable, not optional. Coal, wood, and later heating oil were not conveniences. They were hauled, chopped, stored, and paid for carefully. Running heat all night meant burning fuel when no one was awake to benefit from it fully. Sleeping in layers conserved resources and extended fuel reserves through long winters. This mindset is directly applicable today, especially for anyone interested in preparedness. If power fails or fuel prices spike, layered sleeping systems allow you to stay warm without relying on continuous energy input. A modern example would be pairing a wool blanket, a down quilt, and thermal sleepwear so you can sleep comfortably, even if heating is reduced or unavailable. So, textiles back then, well, they were chosen for performance, not for decoration. Wool, flannel, feather-filled duvets, and heavy cotton. Those weren't aesthetic choices, not at all. Wool, for instance, insulates even when it's damp and regulates temperature exceptionally well. Feather bedding traps air without compressing under body weight. Flannel, on the other hand, reduces heat loss through conduction. Our grandparents stacked these materials deliberately with real intention. Nowadays, the equivalent would be, steering clear of those lightweight synthetic throws that lose insulation under pressure, and instead investing in materials with proven thermal performance. For survivalists, this knowledge translates directly to cold weather preparedness. A properly layered bed can actually rival a cold-rated sleeping bag, just without all the confinement. Nighttime routines? Well, they really reinforced warmth retention. Layering extended beyond just the blankets. Bedtime clothing mattered a lot. Nightshirts, long underwear, socks, and sometimes even caps were normal, since the head and extremities lose heat quickly. Beds were sometimes warmed before use with a warming pan or bottle, which reduced the initial heat drain from the body. You can replicate this pretty easily by pre-warming the bed with a hot water bottle or electric pad, then just removing it once you're settled. This reduces the need for ambient heat and helps keep your core temperature stable all through the night. Seasonal adjustment was really a skill, not just some inconvenience. My grandparents, they'd add or shed layers as winter deepened. When the cold first hit, it was just one blanket. By the heart of winter, it was 3. And when spring rolled around, they'd start peeling those blankets back, bit by bit. There just wasn't any expectation that things would stay the same all year. This kind of living trained you to notice the weather and your own tolerance. If you take that lesson to heart today, it means not expecting fixed indoor temperatures all the time, but instead responding to the seasons as they change. Doing this not only builds resilience, but also cuts down on how much you depend on mechanical systems. Sleeping in layers turns out actually reduced illness instead of causing it. Despite what folks might worry about nowadays, cooler sleeping rooms paired with warm bedding helped keep those airways from getting irritated. See, dry, overheated air makes coughs worse and dries out your nose and throat, but that layered warmth kept your body comfortable while still letting fresh air circulate. A lot of older households, they'd even crack a window in winter, trusting their bedding to do the insulating. For anyone worried about their breathing, this approach still makes sense. The trick is to warm your body, not the whole room. This method really encouraged self-reliance and awareness. Sleeping in layers meant you had to pay attention. You figured out which blanket worked best at what temperature. You noticed if there was a draft. You'd adjust your clothing as needed. It built up practical awareness, a trait at the heart of folks who made it through tough times and shortages. For anyone today interested in survival skills, this isn't a small thing. Knowing how to stay warm without relying on infrastructure, well, that's foundational knowledge. So, applying this knowledge today is actually pretty straightforward and honestly, real effective. Start by building a layered bed. Use a fitted cotton sheet. Add a flannel sheet when it's cold, then one wool blanket, and top it off with a heavier quilt or duvet. On colder nights, wear thermal sleepwear and socks. Make sure to seal up drafts and use curtains to help keep the heat in. Lower your nighttime heating and count on your bed system instead. This way, you'll save energy, sleep better, and be ready for times when heating might not be so reliable. Our grandparents slept in layers because it worked. It was efficient, adaptable, and rooted in reality. If you care about historical accuracy, practical living, and resilience, this isn't just a quaint old habit. It's a tested system, one that's worth understanding and using. And if this kind of grounded historical knowledge matters to you, go ahead and subscribe to Wisdom for the Journey, share this guide with others who care about real-world history, and help keep these lessons alive.